Welcome to the Way of the Dad podcast, where we fearlessly dive into the depths of dadness. If you like what you are hearing, please share the podcast and give it a review on the platform where you listen. Thank you. Hey there, and welcome to the first episode. This is going to be an intro episode, so I don't want you to expect too much from this other than basically why I'm doing it and what I'm aiming for. I had the idea to do this podcast for a while now, kind of bouncing around in my head, and it finally felt like the right time to go ahead and start. For whatever reason that is. Can't say that other times felt terribly different, but for some odd reason now felt like the right time. And I'm going to try to do a new episode every week. That's my hope anyway. That's a pretty big ask, but I'm going to try to stick with that. And of course, if I end up having to change, I'll definitely let you know. So, the Way of the Dad podcast, for me, the idea as it's come up was kind of based around the fact that being a dad has been the single greatest change that's ever happened to me in my life. Of course, there have been many big, definitive moments, but becoming a dad definitely takes the cake. And I've always paid attention to other dads, my own stepfather and father, and I've always noticed what they did. I realized that I had paid a lot of attention. I don't think at the time I realized that, obviously, but I paid a lot of attention to specifically dads, of course, moms too. I was raised by a single mother for a good chunk of my life. But I always noticed what dads did and maybe why they did it, or did they handle the situation well or poorly, things of that nature. And I always thought, it'd be nice if something like this was around when I was a brand new dad trying to figure out what I was doing. I don't know if you know this or not, but kids don't exactly come with instruction manuals. There's no downloadable instruction manual, or there's no PDF download or some kind of booklet that comes with it, and you're just going to throw it in the trash anyway and ignore it. But I figured, if I wanted this, if I was hoping to hear good words of wisdom, or maybe stories of challenge, failure, overcoming, things like that, I figured maybe there's other people out there that want to hear it too. Maybe there's other dads who are going through the same thing I'm going through. Maybe they didn't have a great role model, or any role model, a father figure, male role model in their life. Maybe this is for some younger kids who don't have a father figure and want to hear what a dad might say, or advice a dad might have. And then, a little selfishly, I admit, I'd like to have something for my kids down the road if I'm no longer around. I'm in my mid-40s. I'm in great shape. I feel good. Try to do my best to take care of myself. But Father Time eventually wins, and that's just how that works. So to have something that lasts for my kids or my grandkids, and obviously for anybody else who wants to listen, I guess that's another bonus. as far as what I'm hoping to talk about and hoping the episodes will generally be about, and I guess I say hoping mostly because I know that once this starts, it's going to have, it's probably going to have its own wings, and it'll become its own thing. So there's obviously things that I hope and intend to do myself, but then I have to open myself to the possibility that this may grow in ways that I don't expect, and so that's fine. But the things that I kind of laid out that I wanted to cover and talk about over various episodes are obviously the easiest one is the hard lessons that I have learned myself personally, first person, quote unquote, earn them the hard way. And some of them I definitely earned. But then other things, lessons that I learned by watching my dad and my stepdad and other dads. Like I said before, I found myself to be a very keen observer of other dads, what they did and why they did it, and whether I thought they handled a situation well or not. Not because I'm someone here, as a young kid growing up, that I'm somehow standing in a place of judgment, but I realized later on that I was paying attention as I grew older. And especially once I became a father, I realized I thought back on certain of those lessons or those moments where I saw someone handle something poorly, or maybe they handled it with grace, and that was a good idea. That looked like it worked out real good. But also, with my background in martial arts, and as a quick aside, I used to be part of a martial arts online publication, and I was a contributor, editor, and then for a period of time I was editor-in-chief. And I stepped away mostly because my life had become extraordinarily hectic, and the proverbial plate was a big plate. But even with that, there was just too many things going on that plate. And I had to step away, and I still love all the people over there at Martial Journal, and I think they do a great job. But having my background in martial arts, obviously I've learned some lessons that way, that while they may be martial arts lessons, they translate to life, parenting, living, to myself, not just to my kids and how I raise them. But I don't want every episode to be deep, to say the least. Not every episode is going to be this deep, thoughtful dive on something I saw or something I experienced myself. I definitely want to have some levity, and I enjoy movies, TV, all that, just like anybody else does. And so I thought maybe at some points, when I have something, I don't want to necessarily become a movie review or a TV review type place. But when there's something that sticks out, maybe I would do that here. While we don't do this perfectly, our family, we do try to have family Friday nights. And we do that every other Friday because that's the schedule I have with my son is every other Friday. And we have a show. Usually it's a show. Sometimes it's a movie. If we don't have a show, we'll find a movie to watch. But usually it's a show that's currently on, and sometimes we binge, sometimes we don't. Watch a couple episodes and kind of stretch it out a little bit. But, probably things like that from those shows or those movies that we watch, I would probably maybe review or cover. But like I said, I just want to add change things up a little bit. I don't want everything to be super deep and, well, sometimes serious. And the other thing I might do, or at least that I envision possibly happening, is telling stories that are submitted to me by email. I'm quite sure there are other people who have stories to tell, and maybe they don't want to start a podcast to do it, but they want to tell it. And I would be happy to provide that outlet. Obviously, we can keep names to first name only or change the name entirely to provide, protection for whoever. But if people out there have their stories of failure, struggle, trials and tribulations, if you will, then I think that'd be great to be able to read those, because I'm sure that's good for me to hear it, but it's good. Maybe it's good for everybody to hear it. So that's going to cover most of it. I do hope you'll enjoy this podcast, and I obviously want to hear your feedback. If you have feedback, I would love to hear it, because that's only going to help me get better at this. And I am committed to sticking with this. I've been wanting to for a long time, but like I said, for whatever reason, now feels like the right time. You can reach out to me at wayofthedadpodcast@gmail.com, and then you'll also find, at least a Facebook page. I don't know if I'm going to do anything other than Facebook, mostly just because social media is fine, but I don't live on it, and I don't know that I'm going to have myself on this podcast, should I say, on every single platform. It'll definitely be on Facebook. Maybe it'll be on Instagram if I can get it to directly cross-post. Something like that. But we'll see. In the future, like I said, I'm very thrilled you're here, and I hope you enjoy the podcast. So until next time, take care of yourselves, and have a great day. Thanks for listening. The Way of the Dad podcast is produced and recorded by, me, a stunningly average husband and father, who appreciates all of the likes, shares, reviews, and support you give. If you would like to reach out, you can find the podcast on its Facebook page, and of course you can email me at wayofthedadpodcast@gmail.com. Come back next time as we continue to fearlessly dive into the depths of dadness.